I want to talk about 10 businesses that foreigners use to get rich in South Africa. These are the type of businesses that most South Africans don't really think about when they see foreigners living an affluent, rich life here in the country. Because most cases, you'll find that people accuse or think that foreigners only sell drugs in the country or do illegal things to make money. While that may be true for a certain group of foreigners, it's not true for all foreigners. And let me talk about the businesses that I personally observed that they get rich with here in South Africa. The first business is in the clothing retail space. How they do this is when they open a shop in a location, it's not typically one person opening a shop in that location and it ends there. What tends to happen is that they will open a shop at that certain location and they open that shop with a group of other people and they test the market within that area. And what you will find is that in that area, it could be the whole street or it could be a whole building or multiple buildings in a street where they have similar or the same kind of business, and these businesses are owned by a similar looking people. If you go there, you'll find that, for example, in Albertina Sisulu, which is Market Street now in Johannesburg, there is a lot of fabric shops and a lot of kitchen utensil shops. You will find that these shops are owned by Arab people. Most of them are not South African Arabs. You will find that they're from Bangladesh, Pakistani, and then you also find some people from Somalia and find some people from Ethiopia as well. There are other buildings where you will see that mostly Somalians or Ethiopians specifically own that whole building. And when I say own that whole building, is that shop to shop, when you go to it, you'll find that it's them. Whether that building has shops that sell t-shirts, jeans, perfumes, sneakers, any kind of product that you will find in that building, it is owned by a similar group of people. So let's get into number two. Number two is with food retailing. Now this is one that is mostly known by Abu My Friend. Abu My Friend are normally, again, Ethiopians and Arab people. Again, you know that if you go to Bismillah, I believe that there's a Bismillah in every kasi in South Africa. You will find a Bismillah. Even in the rural areas, there's a Bismillah shop. Is this Bismillah someone's name or is it a surname? If we look at it as in a context that it's a surname, then you will clearly see that there's a family that has come together and they say, look, you are from the Bismillah clan, for example, and we are going to open multiple shops around Dobsonville, for example. But from Dobsonville, we're going to go to Meadowlands, and from Meadowlands, we're going to go all the way to Davidton, and then from Davidton, we're going to go all the way to Mokopane. And they will own tuck shops around the country. And the reason they are able to do so is because now when they are in the food retailing space, they own the whole supply chain. This is not just the tuck shop that you get to see and buy from. They own the supply chain. What I mean is that they will buy straight from manufacturer and they will do wholesaling. The same wholesalers will sell to their own shops and to your shops if you buy from their wholesalers. And the transport system is also owned by them. So they are making money throughout the whole entire process, the whole supply chain. So in food retailing, they are able to get super wealthy, even if it's a large group of people. It could be in the hundreds of people. Everyone within that business is getting wealthy because they are part of the whole supply chain and they don't get to waste too much money trying to get a different transportation system. Like, they own everything within that system. The next system or the next business that people are getting rich in South Africa is in entertainment. Now, this is largely liked by Ethiopians. This I see in Johannesburg, Maboneng Precinct, and you also find Nigerians and some West Africans owning this kind of businesses. These are clubs. Clubs, of course, generate a lot of money through alcohol. But when it comes to buying alcohol in a club, I don't drink alcohol, but I do drink coffee. So if this cup of coffee costs me 20 Rand, normally in a coffee shop, 30 bucks, right? If I was to buy this same cup of coffee in a club, it will be 100 bucks. You see, alcohol is a very, very lucrative business, but they are able to make a whole lot more of money because they can triple the prices, they can double the prices, sometimes they can quadruple the prices. So you'll find that something is 20 Rand in the street or in a local tavern or shebeen. In the club, it's 80 bucks. It's even 100 bucks because they are able to inflate the price so much, and by them being able to inflate the price so much, they are able to make more money. Now, never mind the fact that there are costs that come with running a club, the profits are really, really high. And this is why you will see, in example, Maboneng, most of the clubs are owned by Ethiopian guys, and they keep on acquiring spaces so that they can actually open more clubs. I suspect there's another club coming through because they just recently bought a space which was a Toyota dealership. They bought the space. I don't think they're going to be selling cars there again. You know what I mean? They are definitely going to be opening another club, making more money, because us South Africans, we are consumers and we love alcohol and having fun. So that's a business opportunity that they've seen, and they were like, we're going to monopolize this business in multiple locations in the country. The next business is with hair salons. A lot of people don't really think about hair salons as a way to make a lot of money, but it is one of the most lucrative businesses anywhere you go. Okay, so we can go from Sentin to right down to Alex Gomorrah. There in Alex Gomorrah, maybe you'll find a Eric from Maputo who is washing your hair in a bucket and rinsing your hair in a bucket, and you think, well, he's not making that much money. But you look at in the salon, there's so many people there. There's a long queue of people, and they're gonna work with all of those people. If there's 10 people and per head, they make, let's say, $50 profit. Or let me make the maths easier for me. $10, 10 rand per head, and there's 10 of y'all. This person is making 100 rand. Now multiply that every time a head comes in, then they are making that 10 rand for every single day, because they do work every single day. They may work half a day sometimes, but they do work every single day. That is a lot of money. And when they look like they don't have that much money in the hood, maybe because he's renting a shack, that same Eric we're using in this context, he's renting a shack. Back home in Maputo, he's building a fucking mansion. And it's possible because he makes so much money. And the South African rand is one of the strongest currencies here in Africa, right? So if they are able to make that much money, those much 10 rands multiplied by 1,000 maybe a month, and they take it back home, that money doubles, triples, or even 4 times. Okay, so they are making a lot of money in salons. And in salons, we're not just talking about hair, we're talking about nails, we're talking about cutting hair, we're talking about braiding, and everything that you will find typically in salons. If you go in a salon in any city, Braamfontein, Newtown, Johannesburg, CBD, you'll find that in that salon there are all sorts of beauty services, from doing nails, cutting hair, and everything that falls in the salon space. The next business, which is business number 5 that people use in this country to get wealthy, is with car dealerships. Now, one of the best tricks that I've seen, one of the best tricks that I've seen, which is mostly used by Nigerian dudes, is that they don't actually buy second-hand cars, or they don't buy new cars from manufacturers. They buy or auction cars that were in accidents, they fix up those cars, and then they sell them in their dealerships. The reason they make more money by doing so is that in an auction, typically, let's say a Polo Vivo costs 100k when it's new, or 80k when it's second hand. They will buy it on a car that was on accident for 20,000, fix it for 20,000, and then sell it for 80,000, because, well, it's like a brand new second hand, right? Now they are making 100% profit with that car, and they sell multiple cars like that in multiple dealerships. But then they monopolize that auto industry with business number 6, where they will be selling auto spares. You'll find one shop selling bonnets. You'll find the next shop selling headlights. You'll find the next shop selling dashboards. You'll find the next shop selling... Hey, just realized I don't know that much about cars. Whatever. But what I mean is that they monopolize that industry because they know that they are selling cars that were in accidents before. Then there are obviously going to be more complications that come with those cars. So when you come back to the dealership, they're like, well, you can get this fixed at that place. That place is a friend's place, or they actually own that place. So they could be owning a dealership, and they could be owning an auto spares business as well that services you who buys those cars from them. If you are liking this video so far, hit the like button, for the algorithm, and do subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. And let's get into business number 7. Almost similar to auto, but it has nothing to do with selling cars. These people have, and by these people I mean foreigners, they come here to South Africa and they have things that they do miss obviously in their home countries that they need here in the country, and these things have to travel to them. So are they going to hire a DHL or a courier guy type of business to bring these products or these clothing? It could be anything to the country. Obviously not. So they get into business number 7, which is transportation, and you will see that they import and export products into the country. And transportation, as you already know, is the backbone of the economy, because Everything that you buy, everything that you drink, if you drink alcohol, I drink coffee, this is from Ethiopia. It was transported to South Africa by an Ethiopian owned company that is in South Africa. I bought it from an Ethiopian owned cafe, and I use a plunger from Checkers. Now, the transportation business obviously is a very lucrative business, and it keeps on growing. It keeps on growing, especially when e-commerce is coming in, but that's a different topic I don't want to get into. So let's get into business number 8, butcheries. Butcheries, similar to food retailing, but it's more specialized to selling meat, and of course you will find some other retail products that you will find typically in another retail type of business. But butcheries, where they sell specifically meat, and they will own a lot of franchises of the same kind of butchery around the country. For example, let's look at Roots. By the way, I do not confirm that Roots is owned by foreigners, but I suspect that it is. And if it is not, then I'm still using it as an example, because Roots is in every location that I've been to. There's a Roots in Davidton, there's a Roots here in Johannesburg, in Maboneng at Jewel City. There's a Roots wherever you know a Roots from. That's a butchery company that sells meat around the country. They're able to do so because when they buy stock as well, they buy stock and they don't fuck around, they don't play around, they buy stock. And by them being able to do that, it makes things cheaper for them, and they are able to sell at a cheaper price. Because if you buy meat from a Roots and you buy it from another butchery locally owned, maybe by Sibego, you will see that the quantities of the same meat at the same price are not the same. The quality is probably the same, but the quantities are not the same because they can afford to sell a little bit more at a little bit cheaper price. I've spoken about this in the previous video. So I'm going to get into business number 9. You don't really think about this, but hey, I'm seeing this myself right now. The construction industry, number 9. A very, very lucrative business. It may have its ups and downs, its pits and falls, but it's a very lucrative industry. And if you live in a township, you know that people are always building back rooms. For what? So that they can get into the real estate business or semi-real estate business. Well, I can't call it a semi-real estate business. It is a real estate business, but they have back rooms and they have passive income of people coming in and own and renting those rooms. But those rooms are built by construction companies, and a lot of these construction companies are owned by people that are not South African, or you find the builders not being South African. The reason for that is because if I'm a foreign guy who has a construction company, I know the people from my country come here with skills, but maybe they can't get jobs, so I give them jobs and I exploit them, and I don't pay them as much as I would typically pay a South African, and we still deliver the same or similar quality in the construction. So I tend to get more in profit. Business number 10. It's a surprise. Street hawkers. Street hawkers, and I said it, street hawkers make a lot of money. They may be selling tomatoes, they may be selling spinach and peanuts, whatever, and you think that they are making peanuts. But if you think about it, this person stays in a place where they pay maybe 400 Rand for rent every month. They make that 400 Rand maybe in 3 or 4 days, and they need to spend 800 Rand on food if there's 2 or 3 of them living together. They make that 1,200 in a week. For the rest of the month, which is 3 weeks, they are just making profit, buying stock, selling, making profit, taking the money back home. I've spoken with so many hawkers here in South Africa who you would think, well, you live in a shack, it doesn't seem like you have a lot of money, so why do you still do this? You say you've been doing it for 10 years, why are you still doing it? And if you get close enough with these people and they are level-headed and you get to learn from them, you'll most of the time realize that these people have built mansions back home. Again, going back to the point where I made, that it is cheaper for them to build that side when they make money here in South Africa. They've built mansions back home and they are feeding families back home. And if you don't believe that these people are making a lot of money, watch in December. December is coming around the corner. Watch towards the end of November and first week of December. You will see trucks, you will see bakkies, you will see buses filled with all sorts of products bought here in South Africa, being shipped or being transported to their home country. Number one, they have to be able to afford that shit ton of whatever that they are sending back home. They also have to be able to afford the transport, which, by the way, the transport is owned by somebody from their home country operating in South Africa. You see, they are able to afford these things, they are able to afford the transportation because they do make the money. Those are the 10 businesses that foreigners are using in South Africa to get rich that we don't usually think about. See you in the next video. Subscribe to the channel again. Much love.